If you wanted to run AI locally and build amazing AI agents all from your machine, this tutorial is going to be for you. We're going to build this amazing AI agent that's going to utilize all open source AI tools, including the Qdrant Vector Store. That's an open source vector database. We're going to use several large language models with the Ollama platform, and we'll be able to interact with this AI agent using our chat model. We'll be able to upload our own documents and immediately interact with it using the vector database. This is going to be a great video. You're going to learn a lot about how all these tools connect with each other, all locally through your machine, so you can build really great agents. So make sure you stick around till the end, because this is going to be a very, very useful tutorial. All right, let's get started. All right, so first thing you need to do is head over to n8n's GitHub. It's github.com/n8n-io. You will scroll down and you'll come here and click on the self-hosted AI starter kit. So here they provide you all the guide depending on what machine you're using. So if you, for example, have an NVIDIA GPU, go ahead and follow this. But if you're using Mac, then go ahead and follow what I'm going to do down here, which I'm going to use because I have a Mac. So we're going to basically utilize this right here. My goal is always not to use any code at all, because obviously there's a lot of people who get a little intimidated when they see code. So that's why I try to keep it as low as possible. Therefore, we're going to mostly use the Docker desktop app to be able to download everything we need. But for this step, we have to just clone this GitHub repo. So all we have to do is copy that and come to our terminal here. And all you have to do is basically paste it. And this is going to download everything. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. There you go. All right, so that got cloned. So now the next step is you just need to cd into that folder that got created. Okay, so I'm going to press enter. All right, so now we're inside that folder. Let me clear again. All right, great. So before we move to the next step, let me quickly pull up my desktop Docker app. So if you see right here, right now, I have no images here and no containers. So that way you can see that it's empty right now. And then as soon as we go through and enter this, we'll be able to see that all of those containers and images is going to show up on our desktop app. So this is always a good way to double check and make sure everything is getting loaded properly. All right, so now that we're inside this self-hosted AI starter kit, the next step is to be able to cd into it. We already did that. And now we just need to click on Docker, copy this one, go back to our terminal. And again, let me pull up the desktop app here so you can see it side by side, and paste. So Docker compose profile CPU app. This is gonna run all of the different Docker containers that's required for this AI starter kit in your profile through your CPU. So you're just gonna press enter, and now it's gonna run and pull the different containers and images that are inside this, including the Ollama, Postgres, n8n, and then the Qdrant Vector Database as well. All right, perfect. So it looks like we got everything. As you can see on the right-hand side, we got all the 4 images that was inside that starter kit. And on the containers tab, you can see right now it says the self-hosted AI starter kit and includes the Qdrant, Postgres, Ollama, and n8n. Perfect. And then same thing on our terminal here. As you can see, it downloaded everything that we need. And right now it says localhost 5678. You can access this from there. Okay, perfect. So now we're pretty much done here. Okay, so now let's make sure everything is running. So if yep, it looks like everything is good to go here. Everything's running. So let's minimize this for now. We can copy this or just go to localhost 5678. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to say localhost 5678. If it's your first time, this is going to pull up and ask you to sign up for an account. But if you have already logged in through this localhost before, then it's just going to ask you to sign in. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. Okay, you're going to enter your email and password, and you're going to sign in. All right, so now at my brand workflow here, so let's go ahead and change the name here to local AI kit. All right, so now the first step, we need to add a chat trigger. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to search for chat and chat trigger. Perfect. So here's one difference that we're going to have compared to other AI agents that I've built before. In this one, we're going to give our chat the ability to upload files. So what you're going to do is come on the options, click on add field, and you're going to click on allow file uploads. So what this is going to do, this is going to give this chat the ability to add documents or add files from right here on the right hand side. As you can see, now we have this little like plus sign with a document there, because we will be uploading our own documents into the vector database through the chat model. And I'll explain that a little bit more. All right, so now that's done. All right, so the next step is going to be adding our vector database. So I'm going to search for vector. And as you can see right here, there's several vector databases, but the Qdrant Vector Store, so this is the one that we're going to utilize. So Qdrant Vector Store is a open source vector store that you can utilize. So if you go to their website, they show you all, you can see all the details. They have, you can click on pricing, and they have, as you can see right here, Qdrant Cloud starting at 0. So you can sign up if you want, but we're not going to worry about it because we've already installed Qdrant through our AI starter kit. But it just gives you a good overview of what this Qdrant Vector Store is and why it makes it different compared to other vector stores like the Pinecone vector store that I've used before. All right, so your credential is going to be automatically loaded here because of the fact that we're running everything on Docker, right? So therefore, it's going to have everything loaded there. For the operation mode, we're going to be inserting documents in this. So we're going to click on insert. And for our Qdrant collection, we're going to do by ID actually. And we need to go back and actually test this real quickly. So let's go ahead and attach this. Let me double check, click there. So now let's just go ahead and add a chat, okay? This is going to give me an error, but that's fine. I just want to showcase how to add this chat in there. So now as you can see on the left hand side, I have the chat message received. So what we need to do is we need to add our collection by the chat ID, because we need to provide the ability for a user to upload their own document through the chat window. So that's why we need to grab that session ID of that chat that's going to be inputted into this Qdrant Vector Store. Where before, for example, in my previous video that I did using the Pinecone vector database, I added a step before this with Google Drive where we would grab the document from the Google Drive and upload it into the vector store. But this, like I said, is going to be instantaneous, meaning that a user can upload a file themselves and it will get added to the vector store and then they can interact with it. All right, so once you grab that, that's good to go. So we're going to get out of this. All right, so now let's add the embedding and document loader to this. So you're going to click on embedding. So you have several options, obviously, to add the embeddings, but you can utilize the OpenAI, but that's not going to be local, of course. But the whole point of this video is to be able to utilize all local resources. So I'm going to use the embeddings ollama. So again, same thing, your ollama account will automatically get uploaded here because you're using since it's all part of the same container. So it's going to pre-populate everything for you. That's the great thing about this. When you're using this AI starter kit through your CPU, you don't have to worry about adding or connecting new credentials. All right, so for the model, I've already uploaded embedded models in this. So in this account of mine, I already have these, but I'm going to show you exactly how to add a new embedded model from the ollama platform, because obviously you cannot use chat model here. This has to be an embeddings model, right? So therefore we need to go ahead and add a new embedding. So let's say I want to add a new embeddings here. Obviously when you click on this account, if it's your first time, this is not going to show. So therefore I'm going to show you exactly how to add new models there. So let's go back to our ollama. So if you just go to ollama.com, right? If you go to ollama.com and if you click on models here, this is going to show you all the models that are available. But again, we need to grab an embedding model. So you're going to come to the top and search for embedding models. Oh, I think I spelled that wrong. All right, perfect. There you go. So now you have several embedding models. There's this one that's very popular by Snowflake. Or you can, this is actually one of the most popular ones, this Nomic embedded text. And in the bottom, as you can see, it says the Nomic embedded text is a large context length text encoder that surpasses OpenAI's text embedding 8.2 and the embedding 3 small. So again, this is a very useful embedding model that you should utilize because it's not that large and it's very, very powerful. But let's go ahead, because I've already installed this on my Ollama. I'm going to show you something that I don't have that I can install. So let me see here. What do I have? So I got the MXBAI embedded large and then the Nomic embedded text. So let's go ahead and add something different. Go back here. There you go. Okay, let's see. Let me add the snowflake actually. There you go. This is a pretty good one, but that's pretty big. I don't want that. Let me add this 22 million parameter one. Okay. All right. So here's what we need to do. We need to copy this Ollama pull snowflake Arctic embed, right? So I'm going to copy this. You can do this several ways. The coding way is to go to your Docker YML file. So if you go inside your n8n starter kit and open it in a text file, you can come to the Docker compose YML file. And right here, as you can see, it's only pulling the Llama 3.1, right? So you can actually add another line here that basically says Ollama pull snowflake Arctic, and then you can rerun this, and that way it will actually download that model for you. But because, like I said, I always want to focus on using least amount of code as possible. So let me go ahead and get rid of this. I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this is through your Docker desktop. So I'm going to open my Docker desktop. You're going to come to your containers tab if you're not already there. You're going to come and click on, as you can see right here, Ollama latest. This is running. So I'm going to click on the container for Ollama. You're going to go to exec right here, and we'll pull that from here. So all you have to do is just paste it right here, press enter, and this is going to pull that embedded model or any other model that you want from your Ollama. You'll be able to basically do the same thing. Grab that code, make sure you're pulling it, and then just basically say Ollama pull, and whatever model you want to pull, you can add it here, right? So let's say I want to add another model here, right? Let's say I want to add a regular model. So for example, let me add something very, very small. All right, for example, let's say I want to add this Qin 2 by Alibaba. So I want to add, let's say, this super small 0.5 billion parameter, right? So all I have to do is it says Ollama run Qin 2b, right? So I'm just going to actually just copy this and go back to my desktop and say Ollama pull, and just paste that model. Press enter, and now it's going to pull that large language model that exists inside the Ollama platform. So as you can see, it's like the easiest way to do this, because like I said, you can use and change the Docker file inside the starter kit, but that, that's going to require a little bit of coding, and if you're not familiar with it, then you're going to get lost. So this is the easiest way to do this. So now let's go ahead and double check here. So if I get out of this, double click on my embedding. Now, as you can see, I have access to that Snowflake Arctic embed 22 million parameter. And then also I added this Qin 2.5 billion parameter. This wasn't there before, right? And you can double check, go back to the video and make sure these two weren't there. We just added it through that Docker. All right, so now let's go ahead and add our embedding document. So I'm going to click on that, click on default data loader. We're going to select the data type as binary. Load input all data automatically detect. We're good to go there. We need to add a token splitter. So I'm just going to do a token splitter and have the chunk size be 550. Okay. And if you need more information about this, again, you can watch my previous video where I explain, the video that I made about Pinecone database where I explain these things in detail. Okay. So for now, I'm going to leave it at that. So let's go ahead now, select I forgot to select our embedding model. Yeah, just make sure. So I know we downloaded all this, but I kind of like this Nomic embedded text latest. This is the one that we looked at earlier that said that it's more powerful than OpenAI's embedded model. So I'm just going to select that. And it's a smaller one because I have my memory in my computer is not that great. So that works well. But again, you can select whatever you want. Okay, so now let's go ahead and test this thing out. So another great thing about Qdrant Vector Database is that you can actually check out the dashboard through your local host. And the way you find that is if you go to your Docker and your containers, Qdrant right here, it says it's running in 6333. So let's go ahead and do that. Go to localhost and we're going to do 6333/dashboard. So that's what you need. Make sure you're putting the /dashboard there. I'm going to press enter and there you go. So this is your collections right now. This dashboard is empty. There's no collections here because we haven't uploaded anything, but let's go ahead and do that. So now let's test this. I'm going to go to chat now and I'm going to upload a file. So I've downloaded this BTC white paper, the Bitcoin white paper, but you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to say, what is the Genesis block, which is the original block in the Bitcoin white paper. So now if I press enter, so now what this is going to do, let me back out of here. Now it's going to split this and add this to the Qdrant Vector Database via this embeddings ollama model. So now that's what's happening right now. Once this goes through and completes, we will refresh this page and you'll see that a new collection would have been added. So let's just wait for this to process. If your computer is slow like mine, this might take a little bit, but if you have a computer that has a really good memory or if you're using a GPU, this is going to go a lot faster. But there you go. All right, perfect. So now as you can see, this went through and 13 item came out of here. So now let's go ahead and actually let me quickly first double check on this. Yep, and as you can see right now, this Bitcoin white paper that we just uploaded via our chat got converted into vector. And to double check this, now I'm going to refresh the page. And as you can see, we have our vector that got added here. Okay. All right. So that's perfect. So let's go back. Okay. So that step is done. Now let's go ahead and add our AI agent. So what I'm going to do is click on + here, go to AI agent. So here, what we need to do is because there are two inputs. There's the Qdrant Vector Store input and the chat input. But we need to connect this to our chat input, right? Because we need to be able to interact with the user based on the chat, but we'll add a vector store retriever in this session to be able to have access to the vector store to our document that got uploaded in the first step. Okay. So let me go ahead and actually let's go ahead and add that first. So just agent, it's going to be not a tools agent. This time it's going to be a conversational agent, right? So I'm going to click on conversational agent. The prompt, you're not going to say take from previous node automatically because the previous node is a Qdrant vector store. What we need to do is say define below, and we're going to define the text, right? This is going to be coming in from our user from the first step from the chat input. So you're going to click on the input here and grab the when chat message received. You're going to go to JSON, and from here we're going to grab the chat input, right? Because we want to make sure that we're understanding what the user is asking. All right. So it says when chat message received.item.json.chat input. Perfect. So now we're good to go here. Let's go ahead and back out of this. So now let's add a chat model. So for chat model, we're going to add our ollama chat model. And here's going to be the difference. So earlier in the previous step, this step, we added our embedding. And as you can see here, let me go ahead and click. We added this Snowmake embedded text. But for this one, since this is a chat model, we need to be able to add our large language model. So you can do this Gemma 2B, you can do the Llama 3.1 latest, or you can do this really small one that I downloaded there, right? But let's go ahead and, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and select this Gemma 2B, okay? And we'll select the other ones later on too to test this out. Okay, so we're good to go there. All right, so now let's add, you can add a memory. So this is where you already downloaded the Postgres database through the AI starter kit, but I'm not going to utilize that, so I'm not going to add that here, but you can definitely add that. So I'm going to go ahead and utilize the tool. So now we need to add a vector store tool, right? Because we need to retrieve that information from the Qdrant vector store. So go ahead and put a name here. So I'm just going to say file input. Okay. So the description, this is going to be the knowledge base to answer user questions, right? Because this is going to be the knowledge base that's going to be retrieved from the vector store. The limit you can leave at 4, that's fine. So now let's go ahead and add our vector store here. So the vector store is going to be the Qdrant vector store, right? And this time it's going to again pre-populate already. It's going to retrieve documents this time, right? And then the Qdrant collection is going to be by ID. So the ID, you're going to grab this. This is going to be our session ID. So this is very important. You're going to click on mapping, go to when chat is received, go to JSON, and you're going to grab the session ID here, right? because this thing needs to match what's in our database right here. So if you go to your Qdrant, this right here, this is what, let me click on that. So this is the session ID there that will match right here. As you can see, test OCF 28.7. Let me just double check. Test OCF 28.7. Yep, that's a good. All right, so that's good. So we're done with that. Now let's go ahead and add the rest of the stuff here. I'm gonna add my vector store model. Let's just duplicate this actually. Copy, duplicate, and boom. Okay, that's good. But this time for this one, actually, I'm gonna decrease the temperature, the sampling temperature, to 0, because we want to make sure that it's giving us the accurate answer and not hallucinating. All right, so Qdrant Vector Store, so the embedding, same thing. We're gonna add our embedding, same thing. I'm gonna duplicate this and connect this. All right, so we are good to go. Oh, one more thing I forgot here. So there's 13 items, as you can see, that's coming from this vector store. We want to make sure that we're processing this once and not like 13 times. So you're going to click on that, go to settings, and you're going to say execute once. All right, so make sure you do that step. Okay, perfect. So we're pretty much done. Let's go ahead and test this thing out and make sure it works. So I'm gonna, this time, delete this and try this again fresh. So I'm gonna add my BTC white paper here again. And I'm gonna say this, ask the same question. What is the Genesis block, right? I'm gonna press enter. So now, as you can see, this thing is working. Again, based on how fast your computer is, how fast your CPU is, how big the memory of your computer is, this thing might go a lot quicker. And it also depends on what kind of model you're using. So if you're using a really large model that's going to be very heavy on your computer, this whole process is going to be extremely slow. So you make sure you're using the correct model depending on what computer you're using. And there you go. So this step got executed. So 13 items were sent. Now the AI agent is processing this again, and this should be running once because that's what we put in the setting, right? Okay, as you can see, this step is complete. Now it's going to utilize the vector store tool and the Ollama chat model to be able to respond to our user's query via this AI agent. So that step is complete. Again, my computer is very slow. That's why this is taking so long. But usually if you have a faster, or if you're using an NVIDIA GPU, this is going to be super, super fast. All right, perfect. So it looks like everything went through. 13 item came out of here from the vector store, and everything got processed properly, and our AI agent spit out one item, meaning that's the response. So let's double check. So if I double click this, as you can see, it's giving us the output. The Genesis block is the very first block of the blockchain network. It's essentially the foundation upon which the entire blockchain system is built, which is correct. Okay, perfect. So that worked out, and we can actually see the logs here to make sure that this was done properly. So if we click on the AI agent, and right now this is showing the output. So let me pull this aside. If I click on log, all right, perfect. So as you can see, all of the tools will utilize the Ollama chat model, the vector store tool, the Qdrant vector store, embedding Ollama 1, and chat model and chat model. So this gives you that log of how this entire process works and what were the responses to come up with this reply for the user when they ask that particular question. All right, so looks like everything worked out great. Again, you can actually utilize, for example, an OpenAI. If you see that your computer is too slow, just go ahead and add OpenAI, because you can use the, oops, that's the wrong one, because you can use the API as well to be able to connect to a model like OpenAI. And I'm going to use, let's say, this small one. Copy this, duplicate, padding, get rid of this. Right, let's go ahead and connect this to this. Same thing with the chat model. I'm going to utilize the OpenAI chat model. Let's say use GPT-4 mini. You will see this will be a lot quicker. GPT-4 mini. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's add our Bitcoin white paper. All right, we're going to say what was the size of the BTC? What is the size of the BTC header? Let's see what this does. Oh, I got an error. Bad request, wrong input, vector dimension error expected. All right, that's actually a good error, because this is a good point right here. Because depending on what embedding you're using, it's going to have different dimensions, meaning that because earlier I was using that embedding from Ollama that we downloaded, so that therefore this has the different dimensions, meaning OpenAI uses a different dimension. But as you can see for the quadrant or collection here, let me go back. The size right here, it says 768, right? But our error says that the dimension expected dimension 768, but got 1536, because this is the dimension that comes out of OpenAI's embedding. So therefore we need to basically get rid of this. So you can now delete this. So now you don't have anything here. So now if we run this again, this should remove that error. Let me go ahead, add that up. All right, let's try this again. The size of BTC header is 80 bytes, which is actually correct. And as you can see on the right hand side, it used all of the correct nodes. And on the right hand side, again, same thing. You can see this, everything would utilize properly. And now when we go to our collections, refresh this, now you can see the size is 1536, right? So it just depends on what kind of embedding model you're using. And that will split the document into different vector sizes. So you want to make sure you're using, if you're changing the embeddings, you make sure to go ahead and delete that collection, because this is going to upload a new collection there. You can also, for this chat, you can also embed this publicly. So if you come here and click on make chat publicly available, you can actually copy this URL here, go to localhost, paste. Whoops, again, these are good errors. So the reason why it's giving me that error, that code 404, is because we have to actually run this or make this active. So if you click on active, got it, go back, refresh this, and there you go. So now we can actually utilize this chat through the window here. So same thing, I can add my Bitcoin white paper here, and I can say, what is a block size? What is a BTC block size? I don't know if it makes sense, but why not? It's just to test it. All right, perfect. There you go. The block size of Bitcoin BTC refers to the maximum amount of data that can be contained within a single block in the blockchain. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, everything got executed properly, and you can actually check out the executions by clicking on all executions. Yeah, I gotta save this. Yep, there you go. And right here, these are all the executions. If I just go to this, is the latest one. If I click on view, and you'll see this one got successful, and the rest, you know, it shows you the errors and the one that's went through or not. So this is a good way to see exactly what's going on behind the scene. So, you know, the good thing is you can embed this chat if you have a business or something, or if you have a website, a personal brand, you can actually add this to your website and basically have this chat widget where then people can interact with their own document that they can upload, depending on how, you know, what your use case is. All right, well, hope you found this helpful. Again, this is a very cool way to run everything locally through your machine, and use all the open source model, because again, all of this is free, right? Because the Qdrant Vector Database, that's free. We're locally hosting n8n on our machine, that's free. We're using all these local llama embeddings, or we're using ollama to be able to interact with all these local open source large language models. That's also free. So it's very, very powerful because it's combining all these tools together. So use your imagination to build something different and see how it goes. Let me know in the comments below if you run into any kind of questions or issues. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, because again, I have really good tutorials upcoming and a few other things that I will be sharing with you. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.